Welcome to Eagle Feather Farm. We're here for our spring Ginseng and Goldenseal workshop, and it is April 10th, 2016, and I appreciate everybody coming. Some from a little farther away than others. I'm going to run through the class just to give you a perspective of what we're talking about. Then we're going to go around the room, and we won't have that videoed, so we'll edit that out. I'm going to need a timekeeper, somebody who's really good at has a watch. Okay. And I'm going to need a photographer. So whoever has a cell phone, okay. So you're going to be your job to make sure that we all sit together and take one picture that we can put up on the website. I always forget it every single year. Okay. So what I would like you to talk to me about is your name. You're going to have to continually all day say, I'm Ann. Robert, what would you like? You know, what question could I offer you? And then where you're basically from, meaning the North Carolina people I really need to zero in on. There's supposed to be somebody from Tennessee here, so there. So they won't get as much of a benefit out of the North Carolina part of it. And then just what your objective is today, whether you're here to save the plant, whether you're here to make medicine, whether you're here to do farming in the woods that actually brings in some income. So I need those kinds of little variations. And then we're going to look at a DVD on Goldenseal on how to grow, and that's a 2001. So there's minor changes, and then we're going to see a TED Talk with Zev Friedman. We will then go out to the bathroom break at that point. Go out to the soil and start there. We'll go to the soil. We'll go to Jiagulon. We'll show you the ginseng that was planted in the spring and that ones that were planted in the fall. And you'll go, whoa, big difference there. And you'll see exactly why you're supposed to plant in the fall, not in the spring. And then we'll go on to a section in the back to show you how you can grow ginseng and goldenseal off of the back of your house. And then we're going to come back in here to do a little bit on references, how you can continue on, the North Carolina Ginseng Association, United Plant Savers, all of the helpers that can get you going on what you need to do. Okay. Goldenseal, 5 years old. That's a lot of medicine. This bag would probably last a family for about 10 years. So it's a lot of medicine. Back in their fridge. It's gotta go. Okay, so that is the beginning. You as mentioned, there were a couple of things that we've learned since then, the turkey thing especially.
Yeah, can you say the turkey thing again? I got confused.
Okay, so we thought at one point that if the turkey ate the seeds, that they'd poop it out.
Right.
But now we find out that the gut just kills all the seeds. Oh, so they're well, yeah, they're bad, right? Yeah. You know, I mean, they're good. Benjamin Franklin thought that they should be the United States bird, so it can't be all bad. But okay, so let me just run through a couple of things, and then we're going to move on to a topic that I really am adding to this class. This class has been taught basically the same way for 20 years. So this is the first add-on that we're going to do, and I'd love to have your feedback. This is from the Lloyd Library in Cincinnati, Ohio. A great botanical library.
What year was that printed?
What year was that printed?
I'm not the one that
1884.
1884.
Wow.
Reprinted in 1912. Has all of the information that we would ever need to know about Goldenseal. We don't have to do any more research. But in there, it specifically said, dudes, you don't start growing this stuff, we're going to lose it. And we have. We didn't listen. But it's here. I just want you to know that this is a great Lloyd Library, great resource. So the Cherokee legend starts with, that was the way it was. And at some point in time, they believed that we all spoke the same language. When I say all sentient beings, trees, rocks, flowers, animals, it was all a communication with each other. At some point that humans decided to create their own language, and so the whole rest of the world counseled for many, many days, saying, how can this be? How could the people be so arrogant that they would want to separate themselves from the natural world? How could they expect us to know what they're thinking? And how can they know what we're thinking? Oh, it was a terrible conference. They talked and talked, and of course there were people that, or sentient beings, like some of the insects, that just did not like creating another communication system that they were out of. And those animals that did not like this expressed their view. However, the council could not agree to a solution, and they broke up. Well, the insects buzzed around with excitement that this was going to happen. So they created their own conclave of insects, and they had a heated discussion. There were insects like the ladybug that said, no, you can't do this. And then there were insects like the wasp that said, yes, we can do this. And the mosquitoes. And they said, we are going to bring disease and illness to those arrogant human beings who don't want to speak to us. Period. Done. They went then to the plant community and wanted the plant community to sign on. So they came to the plant community, wanted to listen so that they weren't being rude to the insects. And there were certain plants, like Sister Ivy, that was very much against the humans. And, but they decided to counsel. So all of the plants had representatives there, and they counseled, and they elected Grandfather Ginseng to teach the council and hold it together and create a center. And so they counseled for many, many days. And the end of it, Grandfather Ginseng brought the insect community to them and said to the insect community, we've counseled, and we believe that the Great Spirit created the Great Way. The Great Way is not able for anybody, any sentient being in the Great Way, to eliminate somebody, another sentient being in the Great Way. It was only the Creator that could do this. And if human beings would come to the plant community and come in reverence, then we will teach them how to correct the disease and illness that the insects are going to bring on them. You got to understand that the plant community, trees and plants, are here for us. They're our lifeline, and we are cutting ourselves off from them. And we need to make that connection. Okay. So, that's a question. The other thing I have inside, if anybody has not read The Secret Life of Plants, naughty, naughty. So this is a Department of Navy and the CIA doing a study in 55 about plants that would be down in submarines. And fascinating study. A great book. And if you don't understand how we can talk to plants, then this book is for you to read to understand that. Okay. Now we're at the basic part of farming, the soil. If you do not have good soil, you will not have healthy plants. That's not an argument. That's a statement. And so you have to get the soil right. Why is the soil wrong? Because we lost all the big trees. When you lose the trees, you lost the topsoil. When you lose the topsoil, it means you got to put it back if you're going to start the succession all over again. So Dr. Elaine Ingham, who was mentioned there, influenced me, and I have a garbage can that has forest soil on it, and I have a garbage can that has sunny soil on it, and I have another garbage can that's recycled soil, either sunny or forest. There are some plants that do not care about the soil. They actually like crummy soil. Echinacea is a prime example of crummy soil plant loves. So you don't have to give it the kind of soil. Moss. Moss is a really interesting plant to the extent that if you put fertilizer on the moss will die. It doesn't like rich soil. So there's a bunch of soils that are like that for certain plants. But if you're going to have forest soil, the major component of the forest soil needs to be the forest, the trees, the bark. If you're in a sunny soil, vegetables, annuals, it's where the animals are. It's where the bacteria is. Any animal, including our worms and food going through their digestive tract, picks up bacteria. Cow poop, any of the manures, picks up bacteria. Bacteria is good for the sunny soil. Fungi, the leaves and the bark, are what you need in the forest. So the formula is that it has to be organic and it has to be totally composted, 100%. If it's 100% composted fungal matter, added to 100% bacteria at 75-25, that's 75 for the fungal in the forest, 25 bacteria in the forest, 75 bacteria in the sunny area, 25% forest in the sunny area. That's your combination. If you produce that for your forest soil, you will hit on 5.6 to 6.0. Perfect for ginseng, 5.6. Goldenseal, 6.0.
So that's the base.
That's where you start. And as far as I'm concerned, as I was asked the question, aren't there And that was back in 2001 when I had just been doing this for about 8 years. I can tell you now, after seeing hundreds of sites for people, that maybe 2 had that dark soil. And the soil that you want it to look like, mentally to me, is coffee grounds. If it looks like coffee grounds, it's got the right stuff in it. And we can come up to this container here, and well, yeah, okay. Yeah, just pull it out. And you can feel the moisture in it. It's one of the things, Ed, we've got to fill this up. Yeah, but you know, that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want it to be moist at all times. And this soil will do that consistently.
Robert, I've noticed in some of the compost commercial sellers, they've got mushroom compost.
Yeah, we use mushroom compost.
That's the kind
That would be your fungal material.
for forests.
Right, so that would be your 75% fungal,
Yeah.
and then your 25% manure, and that's what you got right here.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it got to look dark. If it doesn't look dark, it's a... Now, just, Thomas, can you bring out the other one?
Sure.
Put that one back, and... Yeah, now that one's full, and that's going to be a little harder. But give me that one also, so they can see them. Yeah. Okay. So here's the difference. It's how much darker that is. And this is good sunny soil, but that's forest soil, and this is sunny soil. Annual soil for vegetables and fruit. This is what you have to start with. Once you start with this, put enough of it down, the plants will take over. You've got to have a symbiotic relationship between the plants, the fungal activity, the nematodes, all of the other things that are in that live soil. And that is one of the reasons you don't want to dig into it, is because as soon as you open it up, you got to put nitrogen in it. So if you build on top of it, that community stays intact and can be built up. Now, this is absolutely one of the major permaculture non-till principles. You don't dig into the ground because you're going to have to put nitrogen back. Pretty simple. Okay. Any questions?
Do you sterilize the manure, or how do you sterilize it?
I would not sterilize manure. I would just get composted 100% manure from, you know, any of the Ace Hardware.
Oh, okay, you're purchasing it.
Yeah. Now, if I wanted to, and now I have interns here, we have 2 Palomino horses that are next door, and they have said that they would bring a bucket in a tractor over here and dump it for us. But I hadn't had the interns to do that, so I've had to just do it in bags.
And if
So,
you
okay.
did, then,
That'd still be the 25% forest,
and you could use it
right?
right away?
It has to be, if it's totally composted, but they don't compost, so we would have to compost it here.
Okay, and that would be a year
Year or 2.
or
Yeah.
2. Okay.
Yeah, it depends on how it breaks down. Depends on how much rain we have. Depends on its location and what you put into it. Most compost needs brown material, which is leaves. Now, one of my videos with Peter indicates that this is a free material that you could get every fall. There's a section of the city that is from the curb to the sidewalk where people put these wonderful bagged up leaves that you can come along and just throw them into your vehicle and bring it over here, put a couple of pallets together and make your own soil. That is the easiest way to do it. And living in this environment, we have so many leaves. I consider it brown gold. If I don't collect my leaves, if I don't put them on my beds, if I don't compost them right, I'm not doing a job as a farmer. As Zev was saying, you are more of an environmentalist when you start to just do these minimal things that helps the planet and you. Okay, we are going to reconvene at the Jiagulon. Back porch, yeah. Jiagulon has been growing wild for millennium in the Ginseng province of southern China. Here the people were like other people. They woke up with the sun, fed their animals, and tended to their fields. Families would gather together at midday to share a meal, and upon nightfall huddle around the fire to fend off the cold, misty mountain nights. Life went on as normal, with people from this isolated region having little contact with neighboring states or the Central Chinese Authority. In 1972, after completing the first ever nationwide census, to their astonishment, the Chinese government found that Ginseng province had a remarkable number of people who lived to be well over 100 years. To live past the century mark was not only to be expected in one or two elders, but every healthy adult living a balanced lifestyle was seen here. The Chinese Communist Authority sent researchers from the University of Beijing to discover what was the effect that the people so dramatically were having. They considered diet, lifestyle, genetics, and nearly every other possible factor. The answer was Jiagulon. Guess what? So, the inhabitants would usually take a tea before work to increase endurance and strength, and after work to relieve fatigue. It's been recognized as a rejuvenating elixir. Jiagulon shares many of the healing properties of ginseng without heating the body as ginseng does. Jiagulon functions as both an adaptogen herb and as an antioxidant herb, containing many healthy giving saponins, as well as trace minerals, amino acids, proteins, and vitamins. And it is suitable to be grown here in this climate. And no, that's the really nice part about it. This is morning sun. Doesn't like more than a couple of hours in the morning. And the plant will shrivel. I mean, when you talk about that book that I was telling you about, The Secret Life of Plants, this plant will react to the sun by shriveling. And as soon as the sun passes out of it, it opens back up. Amazing. And the plant is not the root like we have with ginseng. It's the leaves. So that's why it's less potent. It's because you're not taking the root. You basically can't take the root because the root is just small and insignificant. It's not like a big ginseng root. This has our really only hope to make ginsenicides available to the populace in the future. Because if the Asians continue to do what they do, we're not going to have any in our forests. Period. Gone. There are new studies that show that ginseng originally was a common forest plant and was hip high. Hip high. Hip high. You do not see ginseng at all hip high. You walk through a forest in early 1800s and the plant was all over the place. So when 1717 came about and the Jesuit was asked by his friend in China, do you have this plant over here? The native that he came to said, yeah, we have it. It's a weed. Forest weed. Now it's endangered. It doesn't have a chance if we continue doing what we're doing. Okay, Thomas?
Yes.
I need you to bring, since everybody's sitting, we're going to bring the plants to them, or Ed, and bring a flat of each of those ginsengs. So the best way to harvest and to seed ginseng is in the fall. Why is that? Because in the fall it has the whole winter to acclimate itself to the ground. Okay, so these plants came out of sprouted seeds that were in the refrigerator. These plants came out of a fall planting. Dramatic. I don't have to say too much more. But that's why you want to plant them in the fall, and the spring ones, when they come up, may dampen off real easy. So it's not the best. So that really shows you when you're supposed to do it. Okay, bring them back inside. They don't like
Are
that.
those in the same soil?
Yep.
Okay.
Basically, that's our forest soil.
Robert, what is your elevation?
16. Yeah. But you know, ginseng and goldenseal go across the Mississippi. They're down at 0. And
How high up do they go?
Quebec, up above Quebec.
Well, I mean, elevation-wise.
Oh, there is no top.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I would anticipate that when you got into the spruce forest, like by the Asheville watershed, it wouldn't be up there. You'd have to be down below you need hardwoods. You need maples, you need poplars, you need spicebush, you need dogwood. When you get those 4 together, that's the environment that it has. If those aren't there, it's not going to grow. Yeah, and ginseng has a direct relationship to calcium. And calcium is produced by the maple trees and by the poplar. So that's that. Okay, we're going to move once more. And we're heading this way, guys. We're going to be talking about this right here, this plot here. And we're going to be also talking about that plant that's right behind Avram. That big green one, and then there's other ones off to the right that Zeb talked about, which is Sochan. That's the plant that grows along the streams and is used as a green by the Cherokee. And they would just walk through the forest and harvest the greens, put it in a pouch, and keep on going. It's called the yellow cone flower. Yeah, go over there and point to it, hon. Ann. Oh, Mary. Right. And then it's up above also. You see some other plants up above it? Yeah. So that's the Sochan, and it's called the yellow cone flower, and it looks very much like echinacea. Big, tall. I mean, echinacea never goes that tall. It's huge. But that should be part of your forest environment by the people who have creeks. It loves it. It just goes crazy. And in the fall, it's so pretty. It's just a beautiful flower. Okay, let's come on down here again, and we'll talk about these guys. So this has some of my biggest ginseng in it. Can anybody point to a ginseng? Nope.
These ones?
Nope.
Nope.
Nope, that's all Goldenseal.
Oh yeah, okay. That's
Remember I said that Goldenseal comes up first and lasts longer than ginseng?
So is it not up?
So in a week, we're going to have all kinds of ginseng coming up through here. The reason I did this was because you can do this in suburbia. You know, here's your north face. You know, here's your shade. There's your raised bed. Look how far the ground goes down. This is a raised bed. And you can grow all of the forest plants and things like this. David Wheeler had on his place out near Cullowhee a 30-foot run, 8 foot wide, with a rock wall all the way around it, 18 inches high. And he grew every plant that I think you can get in the forest that's medicinal in that bed.
Why is the north face slope so important as opposed to
They don't like the sun. They like it moist. Your north face is going to be the most moist. In fact, one of the keys, if we do have snow, is look where the last place the snow disappears on your property. That's where you want to plant.
There you go.
I left for the first time some spring beauties in here just because they have a special place in my heart. But they weren't here last year. So yeah, this is not hard. This is not rocket science. You know, if you have the right conditions, if you give them what they want, they will do real well. If you're trying to grow them in places where they don't like, on the southern slope, or you know, under rhododendrons or trees that they don't like, you know, it's not going to work. Sometimes they survive, but they don't prosper. And that's what you want it to do, is to really prosper. Any other
So do you
questions?
grow them here and then transplant them out?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah, you can do all of the, you can grow it here and then just harvest it and make medicine.
Right,
You know, you can, in an environment like this, you can keep it 20 years.
yeah.
So that's the key. Is the longer you can have ginseng growing, the more potency in the medicine that you're going to be taking. Okay. Now the next place is the ginseng bed. So we're going to go to the front and we're going to look at a bed. Okay, so what happened, we have approximately 1,000 plants in here, or seeds, and they will start coming up slowly. When we plant them out, the box is the exact size of a screen, double hung screen. That's how you make your box. So when you put the screen on there and put rocks in the four corners, the mice, the voles, the chipmunks, and the squirrels cannot get into it. That's the reason you're going to have a high germination rate. Okay, and the only thing that we put into a box here is stratified seed, not green seed. So you can see some of these plants look like Thomas's, and if you would like, we can, only if you guys insist, we can take some of these out and I can show you how to put them into a pot. But if you're, if you saw enough of them in the back there as you walk through, then we don't have to do that. But these are tender, but they in the spring they have an ability to be transplanted like that. If you get them now, no problemo. If you wait a couple of weeks, ain't gonna work. So the timing on it is really, really important when you take them out of the box. I wanted to show you what the little root looks like here, and then we'll show you some roots inside when we go inside in a couple of minutes. And Ed, oh, there you are. I'm going to need one of those containers with some dirt in it so we can. And Thomas?
Yes.
Okay. In the back there is the pencils that I need to make my little thingamajiggy. Okay. So, this has been growing since
Last year? Last fall?
last fall.
From a seed?
That's the seed. It's right there.
That's what I thought.
He's so cute.
That's your seed right there.
So the
Okay.
sprout goes down and up. It comes up and goes down and makes the.
When this sprouted here, it sent these down. After they got minorly situated for the winter, then in the springtime, this has grown. This grew from the fall to the spring. This grew from this just during the spring. The reason this is not really great is because it has this little hook in it. Thanks. And it would be better if it didn't, if you got it a little earlier and it was straighter. And there are some here that are like that. Now, one of the things that I try to tell my helpers today, yesterday, was how to do this, and they didn't understand it. So we're going to do it again for Thomas. Okay, this is biodynamically Rudolf Steiner, 1926, 4 lectures on agriculture. If you don't know about that and you like magic, find out. Because, this is your pencil, it's going to get whacked. Okay. So, in biodynamic preps, they create a vortex by going clockwise. Then they stop and they turn it back to create chaos. And then you come back again to get your vortex, and you can go straight down to the plastic. Okay? It's key to go all the way down to plastic. Then you take the little plant and you put it down in there so that the plant will tend to be right in the middle of the pot. Why? It doesn't like plastic. I think that's a good quality myself.
Yeah.
So you want to get it like that. That is a perfect situation, especially with it being so leggy to start off with. If you have it just straight, it's a lot easier once you create just drop it in and then squeeze the dirt together. Okay, so there was one opening in your tray, and you might as well do that. Now, we normally, let's see how much time we have left. We normally allow anybody who wants to do that for me to do it right with them and everybody watch. So if you want to do that, step up here and I'll show you how to do it. So now we're going to go back inside and talk about reference books, the Ginseng Association, United Plant Save, and dried herbs. So I'm going to kind of pass some things around. This is, I've got a lot of teaching aids that I put under plastic. So, nice root.
How old is that? What'd you guess?
This is a cultivated root. How do I know?
It's real healthy big.
Big, 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 and then you see the neck right there.
Tiny.
Teeny tiny. Maybe 3-4 years old.
Really?
Okay. So you see that box right next to you, hon, on the floor?
There's a couple.
Yeah. Not that one, the other one. Yeah. Okay, so I'm packing up some stuff for one of my California clients. And I'm just going to throw out some stuff here that I got it. The way that you tell a ginseng's age, and ginseng's the only plant that tells you its age. That's the first thing. So that's really unusual. But the only way that ginseng tells you its age is from the neck. You're not supposed to eat the neck. People from China know that. Americans don't. When you get ginseng into your food product or go into the health food, so they'll say usually at least 5% ginsenosides. Ladies and gentlemen, 27% ginsenosides. Well, why is it only 5%? Because they grow them like that. And a ginseng plant from the University of West Virginia takes 6.5 years, 7 years, to mature, to get all of the compounds that the ginseng has. All of the ginseng that you are allowed to buy at a health food store is maxed out at 3 years. Never gets any higher than 3 years. That's why this is a 3-year-old root. It's maxed there because if they took it to 7 years, the fungus would get it. Ginseng has a fungus problem. There are 5 different funguses. There's funguses that are on the air, and then there's funguses in the ground. Any of those funguses can take out the plant, and if you're growing it in monoculture, the way 90% of all the ginseng in the world is grown, then you've got a problem because the ginseng's only 3 or 4 years old. It's not 7 or 8. From here to the top, little markers, 17 years. That root's 17 years old. This root, from the top to the bottom, with this little extra piece there that makes it a little complicated. 22 years old.
And what are what's the marker?
What do you mean the marker?
I thought you said.
There's like lines.
Oh, line.
Oh, okay. Okay. So when the plant comes up, let's say this is the stem coming out of the root. When it falls off at the end of the year, it leaves like a little crater.
I gotcha.
So that little place there was where a stem was.
Okay.
And it shot out. This is where the bud is for the next year. So ginseng not only has a stem for the current year, but a bud for the next year. And every time that stem breaks off, it leaves a little mark. And all those little marks, you add them all up, and you got 24 years to 14 years.
What's the oldest
Now-
one you've ever seen before?
Well, on my website, there's one that I presumed was 85. Now, why did I say that? First of all, it was about a small soccer ball in size. Second of all, it had 3 stems. What do you mean 3 stems? Ginseng only has 1 stem. 3 stems coming out of one root. Very rare. Very, very, very. Shows that this plant's really old.
And you found it, or
Actually, a gentleman brought it in from up by Boone is a national forest called Rogers something or other, National Forest. And the deer would top this plant all the time. So it did not have that huge, huge stem. But the deer knew to eat it from the stem and leave the bud. So that's how we get the secessions that we get. This also, the reason I wanted to show you this is a 14-year-old root. This is a 24-year-old root. This one weighs more. This actually has more ginseng in it. I sell it at $2 a year. This is $28. This is $48. So it matters not only this is a Madison County root. This is a Tennessee root. So North Carolina has, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm very prejudiced, the best ginseng, rivaling West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, and parts of Kentucky. But most of Kentucky's roots are smaller. This is what, if you go over to the Downs in Hong Kong, and you say you want Carolina ginseng, and you're Asian, this is what they'll show you. If you're white, you'll never see this. Period. They don't believe that we have the knowledge to understand what they're dealing with. This let's see. I was going to get you the old. Okay, so this one. Now look at how long that is. That little tiny root is 34 years old.
Man.
But you can see how long that neck is. And I would get calls from Singapore, which really hates the fact that Hong Kong has all of the ginseng. And they go, oh yeah, we want like 3 inches of neck. You know, we'll take $200,000 worth. You know, it's like, this is like a half of 1% of a patch, and they want to get a lot of this. And really not understanding. Even the Chinese don't. I had a guy come down from New York City. He's been selling ginseng for 30 years when he came here. He thought that the ginseng grew out in the field. They are so separated from the farmers to the salespeople that they don't even know, the salespeople, that this has been sprayed with fungicides. They don't even know how old they are because they chop off the head so that you can't tell. And if you ever see any ginseng that's like that size, you know, little wafers of it, that size, Thomas, there's a box upstairs. This is fabulous. Take everything upstairs. What's that's in your hand? Hold on. Oh, give that to Ed. Yeah. And there's a box up there, a chocolate box, Hershey's.
Okay.
And I have my Chinese ginseng in
Tell
there.
us about the other ones that were two in a package. You were about to say something.
That was what?
The one you just put up that was like two in a package. You said those were.
Okay, like this one?
Yeah.
That's 26. This is what I call a complicated root
Oh, it's
because it has two parts to it,
Yeah.
an older part and a younger part. Technically,
Yeah.
if you took this out of the ground and you took the bottom section here all the way up to this part of the neck and you left this, the bud and the old stem in the ground, it would grow. That's the only sustainable way of harvesting ginseng. Nobody does it. Doug Elliott is about the only one that I know that teaches that. But that's the way we need to work with this plant. And the complicated roots are about 10% of all the ginseng roots. Most of them are just single roots. So if you get a complicated root and you get an old root, that's really very, very good. There are a number of, see, this one's a complicated root also. This is the main old part of it. And then these two little areas came off of the neck because the old part didn't have any more place to go. And it just pops another little ginseng portion off of the neck. But this is the old energy and the most potent, and that's what you pay for. Even though you'll get more ginseng out of this other thing, you still got to pay for it at the old price if you buy them from me. So that's a $40 root. It's 20 years old.
So why do you specify the different counties on your roots over here? Do you?
I do that when because of my record keeping that the state requires. So in 1977 comes the CITES Treaty, CITES, and it stands for an International Treaty on Flora and Fauna. We signed on to it, and by 1980, we had in place ginseng permits for all of the states where ginseng grows naturally. So in Texas, there is no ginseng state official, but in Tennessee, North Carolina, Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, all of those states have ginseng representatives in their state government. Some of them are in ag. West Virginia has a whole section department that's just ginseng. So that's what they were required. Now, what are they required to do? They're required to tell you how much we send overseas. That's the whole program. Because they buy 96% of all the ginseng in the world in Hong Kong. And so it's a program to stop or to understand how much we were selling. Before 1980, we didn't have a clue. Now, after 1980, we're seeing all of the numbers going down. The only thing is that the harvest numbers are relatively the same because the people who are harvesting are poaching it. And if they're poaching it in the fall, it's like, might as well poach it in June. I mean, it's out. If we don't take it, by the time the fall comes, somebody else is going to get it. And that's the reason why we have our poundages up but we're losing more and more and more ginseng from the forest. That's not good. 315,000 pounds on average since 1717 every year. Now, just to put that in a little bit more of a perspective, it takes 400 plants 10 years old to make 1 pound. So that's 315,000 pounds times 400 plants 10 years old will tell you how many plants we actually took out, which is billions, every single year. And you would think that we would understand that there is a wonderful market, not only out there in the Pacific Rim, but also here, and that we would want to advocate growing it. Give away plants. They give away pine trees so that this beetle can have lunch. Why don't they give ginseng plants away so humans can help themselves? The logic is not there. But this is a personal thing that I believe that the Hong Kong Chinese are entrenched in our system and nobody knows about it. And they don't want anybody to know about it. So they're very content. And I've had Chinese gentlemen here telling me that as far as Hong Kong's concerned, every bit of the ginseng in the Appalachian Mountains is theirs. It just happens to be growing here. That's real.
Pretty verbatim.
That's pretty much. They do not feel that we understand the plant, that we deal with the plant correctly, or that we value it. And one of the things that they're right about is the fact that the herbal community has the hardest time with ginseng. Why? One of the reasons is that most of us know that it's poison. And why would you go ahead and recommend poison to your client? Doesn't make sense. They don't understand it in the way it grows and how the fungus situation is, so that this is something that can be harvested, part of, as Zev says, the farming, the new forest farming mentality. And that's where we have to get if we want to conserve our medicinal plants.
Robert, you want this Hershey?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No wild ginseng growing anywhere in China anymore at all.
Pretty much not. So in 77, the American ginseng was the only plant on the CITES list for North and South America. They had the eagle and the bears and all kinds of other things, butterflies, all kinds of things, but it was the only plant. Comes 1999, when Asian ginseng, because Panax ginseng's from Asia, Panax quintifolium is from the United States. When Asian ginseng got to the place where the only large patch was in Siberia, Russia, and the Chinese would have tours, buses going up there every year and stealing all the ginseng out of there. The Russians, with China objecting tremendously to it, put it on the CITES list. So both ginsengs are now on CITES. But American was in 77. It took till 99 to put on the Asian ginseng. And so technically, I don't think, I've gotten pictures, and I have them upstairs in the old method of slides, with a little camera screen, pictures of their huts that are all made out of bamboo-y kinds of materials, because they don't have a lot of woods, and covered in plastic. Raised bed, you gotta go like this, and the plants are like that. And And then they have one lady who's holding up a four prong now, that they grew like this, that's probably 10 years old. Should four prong be about 30 years old? She had a four prong, and it had two colors on the leaves. I mean, I had never seen how sprayed a plant could get, so it did not look like a regular ginseng leaf anymore. And that's what they have to do. It had a really nice root on it, but the plant was, as far as I'm concerned, poison. And most of the people who do know Chinese medicine understand this. And there's almost no good ginseng for anybody to recommend as an herbalist. And that's probably 40% of my business is from herbalists who don't want to deal with it themselves. They don't trust the industry on what they're getting. The American Botanical Council, years ago, I mean, in early 2000s or even maybe did a study on ginseng products that were out there and how much had no ginseng in the product whatsoever. Most of these are kind of capsules kind of things. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to show you, and I want to pass it around. So China, these are 1-year-old roots. Just like my little root out there, these are little 1-year-olds that they sell. Only has a little bit of ginsenoside in it, but people buy that. Here you can see what is their typical product as a root. It has no top, and it has no rootlets on it. And, you know, I'd probably say that this is a 3-year-old root that they have here. This are and these are very popular. And when they get that big, it can't be this root. You know, it's too small. These roots have been pumped so that they get really big. And then they slice them all down, they sell them. I think that the 3 products, yeah, pass them around. Those 3 products were $5 over in China. The 3 products.
Together.
Well, $5, yeah. It's really bad medicine. And, you know, I've never used it. I never opened it. I never want to use it. But it has...
Yeah, these are giant.
Yeah. And they can't possibly be my... like my little roots like that. You know.
Ginseng.
Yeah. Okay. So now let us hit a couple of books. And, you know, I only want to say this. It's not out of malice. I just want to tell you this because this is the industry. This is what the industry does. American Green Gold, Scott Person, North Carolinian, over near Cullowhee. And then this book, along with Janine Davis, came into this book, which is this book plus Janine's Goldenseal information. But it's basically the same. He didn't really change this at all, except for one part of, and has one of the best pictures of a stratification box that's out there. I've used that numerous times. But on page 110, Ginseng Growers Calendar, appropriate months, task, materials, equipment, kind of like a little chart. And we go May through September. Plant removal and drench or organic treatment or for disease control. Also sending soil samples. And what are the materials and equipment needed? Fungicides, formaldehyde, Industry standard.
It's causing cancer.
Standard in the. Now, he took that out of here. That's not in the new one.
Now, where is that picture taken where he's sitting in a giant?
Oh, this is in his backyard. But you see how monoculture it is. There's only ginseng there. He has to spray it. Doesn't have a choice. When you look at our beds up here, they're all interrelated with the forest plants. Bad. That's not the way ginseng grows. But that's the way that it grows for profit. And if we are so disconnected that Hong Kong has done such a great job on branding ginseng that you don't know whether it's spray ginseng or it's wild ginseng. Well, I'll tell you right now, if you're an American, you're not going to see wild ginseng except here or a couple of other places. And we only get like 4% of the market. You know what I mean? It's a real small part. The majority of the people go into those health food C stores and they buy those little containers with it that have ginseng in it, and they are the worst. I would not put any of that in my body.
When you're in like Chinatown in San Francisco at a pharmacy,
Yeah.
what ginseng are they probably selling?
Unfortunately, they do profiling. So the good stuff is in the bottom cases. I've had people go down the downs in Hong Kong and take pictures of the places, and you see the display cases where they have all the ginseng there. All of that is the crummy ginseng that you see on the display case. If you want something like this, they pull it out of the bottom. You have to tell them why you want it. Your uncle's coming out of an operation. He's 86 years old, and you're willing to pay the price and everything. They pull it out. Yeah, it's in a little box. So they buy ginseng around $2 a root. They don't care how old it is. But if one of those roots get through to Hong Kong that's 30 years old, like mine, that's $1,500. They pay $2 for the root. That's a good price point. And they love it. And they don't want to change it.
I was in Chattanooga, and a buddy of mine was a Cloudland Canyon, he was a park ranger, and he said regularly they stopped all Hong Kong tour, like arrested 50 people for poaching.
Yeah.
In Chattanooga also.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really, really, really bad. And so, ta-da-ta-da, the Ginseng Association stuff. Can you get me that right around the corner? What we're trying to do is, we started an organization. So, the way the story goes is 2002, the North Carolina Natural Products Association was formed. I was one of the founders. I was president for 5 years, and in 2012 we had a ginseng expo. It took me 5 years to get an expo. At that expo, we decided that this wasn't going to work anymore. And so we started our own North Carolina Ginseng Association. This is the only association for ginseng in the United States that is advocating growing organically. Period. If you go to Ag Extension, they're going to tell you to spray it. So, those people in North Carolina, I really would like you to, if you're going to grow, take one of these and consider a $15 membership for that, which basically pays for brochures.
And in November we're having the expo.
That's right. November 11th, we're having a ginseng expo here in Madison County. And the cost is going to be very reasonable. It's not going to be $170 like they did last year for the natural products. It'll be something like $35 to $50 for the full day, and you're going to be, from 8 till 5. Kind of like I'm doing here, just in 3 hours, you're going to get a whole full day of it. But this is exciting because Nobody else is doing this. North Carolina needs to be a leader, and y'all can come along, and we need help along those lines. Okay, so that's number one.
You need a secretary.
Yeah. There are a couple of other books that I would like to just show you about historically. This one was Lee Sturtevant and Tim Blakely. He was with the Frontier Herbs, may still be with Frontier Herbs, and this was the first book on how to farm medicinally. Then Richo Czech came out with a book, which somebody took for, my last copy, and it's out of print. But if you go into a used bookstore, that's the best book to get. I can't get it anymore. And then this is for Chinese. We grow a bunch of Chinese stuff here because of the tremendous benefits that these plants have. And so, well, just like the Jiagulan, that Chinese plant. Okay.
Robert,
Yes.
will you please mention the name of that book again? You said it's out of print, but if you're browsing
It
old books-
yeah, it's Richo Czech. I think it's growing endangered medicinal plants. He has a company called Horizon Herbs, and you could Google them and call him and ask him if he knows of a used bookstore that carries that old copy. I have pleaded with him to do a new revised one. He did another book that was not similar. It was a little bit different. I can't even recommend it as a good growing book. Now, of course, a little plug for me. We have 2 booklets, one on growing ginseng and one on growing golden seal. Thomas, those over there. And
the ginseng or the golden seal around a while ago.
Yeah.
okay, so that's still here. Somebody has it.
It probably made its way back over here.
No, not yet. Still.
Okay. Well, those have been revised. They started off at $3.50 and now they're $5. But both the ginseng and the golden seal have been revised the last two years. And then I have the copy of the what you saw, Growing Golden Seal DVD, is available also. I think that it allows you to just look at it a couple of times. Yeah, got a couple of those. Now, the last thing that I'd like to talk about is the United Plant Savers. So that was mentioned in the DVD. Rosemary Gladstar created this organization. The plant that inspired it was golden seal, and it's probably the only true plant nonprofit that I think is really doing something worthwhile. And so they're easy to join, and I believe you get some golden seal if you join. You get a bunch of things when you join them. And I would encourage that. We ran out of brochures, so I don't have any here, but you could easily find them out on the thing. Okay, so I'm basically at a point. What is that? Take that away. Where we have that to hand out on the way. And I just wanted to mention this. It's the New Pioneer, and they wrote, I didn't really talk about why I got into this and everything, but there's a bunch of stuff in this magazine about why I'm doing what I'm doing. So just want to.
Is that a
What issue is that?
Yes.
2013. And it's out of Oregon. And they came here and they did
Cool.
an article on me. What else?
Robert, we had a question about transplanting ginseng. How long can you keep it in the pot before you transplant?
Okay, good question. Because I mentioned that ginseng does not like plastic. So my program is that I will be potting these up and selling them at the Spring Herb Festival down at the farmer's market. The week that I come back, we will put them back in the ground. And one of the things that I did want to mention to you all was that we have a calendar that is about the moon. So every day when we come together as a staff, we look at the calendar and we find out, are we in Cancer, are we in Leo, are we in Aries, and it sticks for 2 days. So if you're in Aries on Monday, you're going to be in Aries on Tuesday, and then it's going to switch to the next moon sign. Each of the moon signs and each of the months have specific things that you need to do. So it doesn't pay to weed on a weeding cycle or a weeding moon to try and plant something. It just won't take as well. Same thing, if you try to weed on a planting moon, the plants won't come out as easily. That's my personal opinion. I just wanted you to know that a lot of the people who do farm by the moon calendar.
Does that come from Steiner?
Biodynamic, yeah. They have, okay, so where mine would say, you get up in the morning and it's Pisces, say, all of the water signs are for planting. It says, plant today, plant tomorrow. But on the biodynamic calendar, it would say, at 1 p.m., you start planting. And on the second day, by 3 o'clock, you're into weeding. You're not doing planting anymore. So it's a lot more specific. I don't really, because our farm daily activity is a 9 o'clock staff meeting with a couple hours of work. You can't necessarily do what you try to do it close enough so that you're in the rhythm of the moon, and that's the best we can do. We usually have really good luck when we do that, though.
What is the right way if you found, like on their property, if they found some ginseng growing?
Yeah.
What would be your next step if you want it to come back more? What's the proper way to handle it?
I think as most educational professionals would tell you, that the first thing you need to do is manage what you have. Which means you have to know what you have, which means that you have to understand that I have a cage. The cage doesn't allow the deer to eat it in the spring and doesn't allow the turkeys to take the seeds in the fall. So you're managing it. Comes September 1, when the season starts, every plant that I know of on my 28 acres gets cut down. So now we have the leaves, if they're green enough to make tea. We have the berries to eat so that we can get some of the ginsenosides in us, and then we plant back the seeds or we stratify the seeds at that time. Whether there is a increase in root size because of cutting it down early is debatable. We don't have the research on it. I believe if it comes up in April, it grows all the way into the end of August, it's grown. Now it's starting the downward process, and might as well take it. If you take it and somebody walks over it, they don't know that the ginseng's there. If you have any kind of a plant there, they're going to see it. It's real easy for ginseng hunters to see it from across the stream. You know, I mean, it lives in a certain environment. I can look at a whole piece of property and zero in where that best piece of property is for the ginseng. And it's just over time. You look at the trees, you look at the terrain, you look at the tree cover, you look at the water, what companion plants are there, and boom, it'll show up. Much more than goldenseal. Goldenseal will be in the same environment, but you go there and there's no goldenseal. It's all been harvested. It's really, really horrible as far as the situation we're in. As far as you all understanding a little bit more about the plants, ginseng and goldenseal, is the only way that we're going to move this thing forward, is that everybody understands how precious these plants are, how rare they are, how good they are to help us, and how important it is for us to help the plant continue on. And that's basically the whole purpose of this workshop. Yeah.
You've mentioned the word stratify a couple of
Yeah.
times.
Okay, so that book has a picture of a stratification the thing about stratification is that, where's that book? It's over here. Oh, thank you. The thing about stratification is if a ginseng plant drops a seed, 1% chance that that seed is going to turn into a plant. It has to fall into a little hole, has to rain that night, moon gonna be right. Very, very difficult. If you take that same seed pod and you bury it about 1.5 feet from that plant, it's going to take that seed, just like the plant throwing the seed, 18 months. Which means that it has to go through that summer period. So what you're basically doing for a year is taking and putting it in a box with sand that keeps it moist. So when it pops out in the fall, you got now an 86 to 90% germination rate. So the plant does it 1%. If you do it when the seeds first come out, it's 16%. If you stratify it and put it in a box, keep it in sand, refrigerator, whatever you're going to do, you're going to have an 86 to 90% germination rate.
These are the rules, right? It's always 18 months to a little bit longer.
Always 8. Well, you know, when I say 86 to 90%, part of that is for those seeds that sprout early and can't hang it, and they die. Whether it's late winter or too early in the spring and get zapped like some of those plants in that box got zapped.
So you'll be at the herb festival at the farmer's market now.
Absolutely.
And you'll have little plants.
Just like you saw that we pulled out.
And if we buy them now, or when that herb festival is,
Yeah,
and have the place prepared for them,
right.
then
It should work.
they would just do their thing, and then next spring you'd go out and look for the new spring.
Yeah, and they come up. And now, where's that? This is from the American Herbal Products Association. I'll pass this around. I don't have a lot of these. I should have them then. But it's the life cycle of the ginseng plant. And it shows the seed, and then the seedling. Then the second year, the plant changes. It's not 3 leaves, it's 2 prongs. Then the third year, it's not 2 prongs, it's 3 prongs.
Oh, wow.
And then it stays that way into teenager, and when it gets the 4th prong, and then stays that way again into mid 30s, 40s when it gets another prong, 5 prongs. I've seen 7-prong ginseng plants. Very unusual. Very unusual. So, yes.
Beside the fungus, Robert, you mentioned voles.
Okay, yes, I was going to. So,
What critters do we need to?
yeah. Well, if you put it in a box and you put a screen over it the way I do, and that's on my YouTube, then you're going to eliminate the voles, the mole, well, not the moles, the voles, the chipmunks, the mice, and the squirrels.
You have a screen at the bottom, right?
No.
They don't come up.
No, they can't come up. They got a wooden box.
Oh, okay. The bottom.
They can't get under. They don't dig underneath that. It's just the top. And usually, in March, we take off that screen and put in straw, as you see, so that otherwise they're coming through the leaves like that, and they have real long, and then they'll dampen off. So you have to deal with them, but once you deal with them that way, then as a plant, the only thing you need is deer and turkey to stop. The little guys don't. The squirrels, the mice. Now the mice can, and the voles can eat it underground, but they usually just nibble a little piece and then they're gone. They don't care for it. It's not.
What about the wild boars? If you plant it out in the woods, they're not going to dig it because they look for the roots and everything.
Yeah.
They like it or they don't?
Which animal?
Wild
Pigs,
boar.
Pigs.
Wild boars are just not, as far as I know, ever been a problem with ginseng. It's deer. Too much deer, too much turkey.
What do you do for deer, Robert?
Well, I put the cages over them. I put cages over all the plants that I want. But again, I'm growing seed to seedling to sell. I'm not growing for personal medicine or to resell that medicine because I have a dealer's license. And I encourage everybody to get a dealer's license and stop the stuff going to Hong Kong and keep it here in America. But if you don't have a dealer's license, there's no way that you can produce enough unless you go through the NC Ginseng Association, where we're teaching people how to grow for organic 3 to 4 year old roots. That's our first.
That dealer's license, I know I'm from Tennessee, but I suspect it's similar. Is that a yearly fee of
Yes.
$75, $50, something like that?
It's $50 in North Carolina. I think it's $250 in Tennessee.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and one of the reasons there aren't a lot of dealers anymore that are old. They all, almost every Tennessee dealer I know is like between 26 and 30.
So far, everything that we found in Tennessee and Williamson County, where we are, it's pretty prohibitive to do anything right. They don't.
It's unfortunate. Sorry. Okay. We still have 20 minutes. Overwhelming amount of information. I know that you've all got that story like, oh no, not another piece of information.
You said you put cages against the deer. What do you do against turkeys?
Cages.
Cages, same.
Yeah. Yeah, they can't get into the cage.
What kind of material do you use for the cage?
I'm using this, I think it's called cow fencing. It's like 3x5 squares.
Okay.
And you just ring them and then just cut another piece out for the top and ties it down. I get it made by the shelter in Madison County. And that's how simple it is. So it's not a hard process.
So you leave that on all year round, right?
No, no. I will put it out when the plants first come up. I'll put it over that, and I'll keep it there until the fall.
Okay.
But as soon as the fall comes up, I'll take them away so that anybody walking on the woods doesn't see one and start digging down there.
Do you have poachers coming here?
I don't have anymore. The one person that came on my property was a unusual situation where I had he came here for me to teach him about wildcrafting, where he had already known as much as I probably knew about wildcrafting. So they came here to just check out my place, and then I did something that I haven't done, I haven't repeated, but they were chain smoking in front of me, and I just couldn't take it, and I told them, that tobacco isn't allowed on this property, and they got real huffy, and they left, and the guy came back. I went away to a church lunch on Sunday, and he came in and just destroyed a lot of stuff, and then I had the sheriffs find him and everything, and they went up to try and get him. He knew they were coming. He left, but he came back and he cut my reservoir lines before he left. That's the only one that I've had, and I reported it, and I'm real big on it. I know that more and more they're catching more and more people, and they're not telling people about it.
I know there's a fair amount of poaching in Jackson County.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, Jackson and Madison are usually 1 and 2 in the amount of ginseng that comes out of North Carolina.
So on your property here where you said you have 28 acres, like what percent has ginseng plants on it, or goldenseal?
Now this is just me.
Yeah.
From where we are here up to my first ridge here is all I pretty much deal with. And when we go ginseng hunting, that's as far as I go, and I know where those plants are and everything. And we get 12 plants, 15 plants, something like that. When you go over the ridge and you go down to the river, that's the animals. If there's a plant down there that the deer want, that's where they need to go. The turkey wants some thing down, they got to go down to the other side of the ridge.
Do you have a big turkey problem out here?
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's not a
Oh,
problem.
we have so many wild turkeys.
I mean, yeah. I mean, a flock of 40. It's
Yeah, okay, that's the same where we live.
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous. It's the only bird that since our inception in 1776 has increased in population. Every other bird has decreased in population.
Do you have any struggle with groundhogs or whistle pigs? I always call them.
Yeah, we trap everything here, and we bring it over to the national forest and we let it loose. So if there's something that I don't want here, I trap it and take it away. Most forest farming is not easily integrated with the animals.
I've got skunks and possums and whistle pigs.
Yeah, we just take them away. We just live trap them, and
Yeah. All right.
if every other day we got a run with somebody live in the trunk out to there. By the 2 weeks, there's nobody here. Yeah, so you just have to be on it and just take them away. The ones that are really pesty to me are what my friend calls tree rats, and that's the squirrels.
Yes.
And they're just really despicable rodents. And so we're just not in alignment with them being here. And we had a red squirrel, which is very, very rare. We usually have our gray squirrels that are here, but we had a red one, and there was one from up north. They come down, and it was very, very rare. And so when I caught it, we thought, well, maybe we'll let it go. No, we took it over there, and we just let them play in the national forest, because that I think that red squirrel didn't understand our traps. All of the gray squirrels never go in our traps. They're so smart.
They did understand.
The gray squirrels do, but the red one didn't. He got caught. So, yeah. Squirrels are a problem to me, but as I say, if it's a management. The whole situation on farming is management, and managing the plants, managing the animals, managing the funguses.
Could you talk about seeds and quality of seeds? He got some seeds from somebody and had trouble with them.
Well, this one's sprouting. There's two that are sprouting there. Yeah, this one's sprouting too in the second bag. Yeah, there's a couple of them. I would bury them, and they'll come up.
I try to.
These will come up. This one will come up. See that?
Sure.
See that one? And that one where they're splitting. You see where it's like a sandwich, like an Oreo with two.
I put it in a little bit of water, so it kept it even moister than this, and for 2 weeks, and wouldn't sprout. So that.
But these are sprouting.
They're gonna sprout.
That's sprouting right there. When it opens up, that's a sprout right there. That's a sprout.
So.
And if you squeeze it, you'll kill it.
So this one has moisture in it. So I checked it. It's still moist, so it didn't dry out.
Yeah, but that's going to kill it by doing that.
I know. I'm wondering.
See, these are. If you take that white thing and you squeeze it tight, you'll kill it.
Yeah,
so you don't want to squeeze these once they sprout.
I heard that you cannot plant these like scatter it. You have to.
No, you have to individually plant them into the ground. Yeah, and technically they're only 2 centimeters, which is the distance of your pinky. That's all it comes in.
This one, even if I kept it in water.
No, you don't want to put it in water. No, it'll turn to mush.
No,
you got to
I change the water every day. But
that's not the way to do it. They need dirt.
So this one is still viable. That's what you're saying.
Let me see it. Yeah, that's sprouting. That's sprouting right now.
How long it takes to sprout?
It would take 18, from the time it was a seed to the time it cracked like that to sprout is 18 months.
But from now on, it should come up this year?
Oh, yeah. It'll come up in weeks.
So even if I kept it moist, in 2 weeks period, it's not enough. Yeah, you have to more
If you put it into the ground.
So it's different between the ground and water.
And not out in the sun, right.
No,
okay, the reason that we have steepness of soil is so that it drains. If a ginseng plant sits in water, a seed sits in water, it'll turn to mush. It'll die.
That's not the habitat for that particular seed. Whereas you could do hydroponics with other seeds, that what you're doing, adding water, you're just killing it. So just listen to what he's saying.
Got to put it in dirt.
Still good. I want to ask you if I have to send these back to the...
No, they're good. They're all good.
All right,
just need to be in dirt. Right.
How do you store your seeds?
Refrigerator.
In the refrigerator, in a plastic bag? Or
Yeah.
In a plastic bag?
Yeah, and then I usually have a piece of white towel, organic towel, paper towel, wet in there with them.
Okay.
Now there's two methods. One method says don't do that, and one method says do that. So there's some people who think that if you don't add any moisture to the bag, they'll keep longer. And there's some people who think that you have to have a little bit of moisture for them to crack and to germinate. We don't know. We haven't done the research. It's really sad. If you wanted the answer to that, and you knew Chinese or Russian, you could figure it out. But it's not been translated to the United States, not to English. But they're there. The research has been done in China.
I have a friend who speaks Russian.
Well, you see, the Russians did it for the cosmonauts. That's how their whole Russian program with ginseng originated. And they have a very, very famous test that they did where they gave 4 pounds, 1,600 roots eaten at one time. The only major, besides some body functions that were a little higher, the only major function is they stayed up for 3 days. They could not fall asleep.
Huh.
But the Chinese consider it the highest type of herb, which means it's non-toxic. You can eat as much of it as you want, and it's not going to kill you. There aren't a lot of plants that you can do that with. But ginseng is one of them. You can't do that with goldenseal. If you did that with goldenseal, your liver would be destroyed and you would die. So the astragalus, ginseng, ginkgo, nettles, all of those are Class A herbs. You can take as much of them as you want. It won't kill you.
Yeah, it's an adaptogen. That's why you can take as much of it, it won't harm your body.
Yeah. Good adaptogens. And ginseng is unique in a couple of ways. Number one, it has the highest testosterone. That's why it's considered a male reproductive thing for the Chinese stuff. It has some of it in the American. But the other thing is it adapts your body to stress better than anything else. And for the American rootlets has germanium, the highest of any antioxidant that's out there. Plus, kale and ginseng are two of the only plants that have every mineral that the human body needs. Kale and ginseng.
Really, they both carry all the trace minerals in them?
All the trace minerals. But if you don't watch with the skin of the ginseng, if you clean it too much, you'll lose all of those nutrients that are on the skin.
How do you clean your roots before you send them to a buyer?
If I can get the root fresh, which is what I prefer, then I clean it by putting it in water and hand rubbing it. That's it. I then put them in these boxes, and they have a paper towel, and keep turning the roots, and 90 days they're done.
Okay.
That's how I would clean it. And when they're young and fresh, out of the ground, they're palatable. You can move them around. You can pull up the little things and get underneath and get everything out of them. But once they get dry, that's it. You would have to, if I ever wash a dried root, because it's so dirty, I have to basically put it under a hairdryer to quick dry it.
Whatever happened to that laminated sheet about that giant 3-year-old root?
I don't know. It was hanging around somewhere. Somebody have it?
Get back here.
You got it?
I don't think you passed it around.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, did you?
I don't think it made it. I saw it go back that way and it never came back.
No, I didn't see it here.
Is that it? Under the, oh, maybe that is it. Under your,
Yeah, here it is.
So, do you have any ginseng for sale for us today, or?
Yeah.
yeah.
And what about the goldenseal?
We have goldenseal rhizomes in the refrigerator. So we're in this.
But those you said plant in the fall, right?
No, now.
Oh, you can.
The golden seal right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So anybody who would like to walk away with something today, we can do that. Now, I would like to go outside and just show you some companion plants, so you can know if these plants are there. You got to look harder to try and find some ginseng.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we're going to end it up. Yes.
What do you do for poison ivy?
Okay, sister ivy is needed to be understood that it grows. It's like Zev was saying, a pioneer plant. Comes in and goes as fast as it can laterally. Okay? So it's only under the soil about that far. You can take a hard rake, not a soft rake, but a hard rake, and just get underneath that plant and pull it up. Then when I take it from there, I put it into a bag and I take it to the landfill. Get it off of the property.
Do not burn it.
Yeah, do not.
Right.
And you don't want to bury it, you don't want to burn it, you don't want to compost it. You know, just now, if you have some kind of goat, you got good food for the goat.
Really, goats like that?
Yeah, and if you drink goat milk that they had that eaten poison ivy, you're now protected for the year. So we have a couple of plants that are considered indicators of the proper soil, and when these plants are there, you know that ginseng can grow there, and that's when you start looking for it. It doesn't mean that it's going to be there because they may have taken it out. Someone may have poached it. But the black cohosh will come up and be a huge plant with white, and white flowers turns into what they call rattleweed, and it has seeds in it that the thing rattles, and they used to use it in native ceremonies. The reason I mention that is because there's a couple of other plants that look like black cohosh, and one of them is toxic. So and it has a doll's eyes, and it has a little tiny, what looks like a little doll's eye right there, and it comes out in the summer, and it doesn't have a stalk that grows wild, big. There's also wolfsbane that looks a little bit like this and has a different kind of stalk also. So black cohosh is definitely a companion, and then this is a bloodroot, and this is another companion. Usually this one has more sun to it. This is more into the hillside where it's darker. So you're usually going to see this first as you walk into the forest, and then you're going to see this, and then you're going to see the ginseng.
So it almost, the black cohosh flower almost looks like a foam flower a little
Yeah.
bit, right?
It's white.
Yeah. I mean, I have that growing on, and I'm south facing.
It could,
a lot of black cohosh.
Yeah. Again, for them it depends on tree cover. The problem with ginseng is that if it's on the south side, the land heats up so much that the root or the seeds will dry out and they'll die. Whereas the cohosh is a big root. It can take that heated up soil better than the ginseng. The bloodroot is also very, very sensitive to placement. You won't find bloodroot on the south side, period. Period. So we have this one, and of course the trilliums that are over there. Any place that there's trillium, usually these guys are also there, and ginseng and goldenseal tend to be there. Mayapple hasn't come up yet. that is like a golden seal leaf, but much bigger, and has a little fruit on it. They're also around water a lot more. So there are a bunch of companions that have the ability to give you or create the neighborhood that ginseng and golden seal can live in. And that, I think, is important when you're looking at your land to see if your land can accept the ginseng and golden seal. If there's none of these there, you're not going to be able to do it. There's something wrong. Either you have too much runoff, you don't have the proper soils, the proper trees, the proper light. All of those things have to take place all at the same time. Any questions? Okay.
You had down here, I had one more. This running cedar,
Yeah. Lipocomnium.
is that,
Not medicinal.
no, but like if there's that, it's not
Possible.
necessarily.
It's possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like the ferns. There's some places the ferns will grow that ginseng won't grow. So you can't guarantee that just because there's ferns there.
Are ramps a companion?
Yes, absolutely. Where are my ramps are over there somewhere. Yeah, yeah. Ramps are definitely indicate a plant and also indicate a soil. Now, the best indicator that we have hasn't come out yet. There may be some right over there that is maidenhair fern, and it just hasn't come out yet.
What kind of fern?
Maidenhair. And it's a real pretty fern. And if maidenhair cannot grow in bad soil, period.
Is it,
So.
it's not up yet, right?
No. It'd be right by your feet. You might see some dead.
Here's some where it was.
Oh, there it is. There's
Yeah.
Some coming out right
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's made in here. We can one stalk like this. One stalk comes out, and then really weird. It makes almost like a crown. Like it's really.
I think I have a lot of.
It's really a beautiful fern. It's totally unique though. It has leaves that come out from a stem that.
And it's one of the few ferns that are definitely indicators for ginseng. There were 5 plants that back in the 17 or 1800s they indicated were, if you saw this plant, you definitely know ginseng's right there. 4 of them are gone now. So the only one that you really have is maidenhair.
Are these companion plants the same for golden seal?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you feel comfortable shipping your plants?
No, they have to come out here, or they have to meet me at one of the festivals that I'm at. The person who will buy the nursery will have an opportunity, though, to do that.
I was mostly thinking in terms of like it's probably just not good for the plant. These
Yeah,
are
it
really
isn't.
Sensitive creatures.
Yeah,
that
right.
You can't really
Right.
guarantee anything if you
Right. On the other hand, if you Google me, you'll find out, or Google ginseng plants for sale.
Yeah.
I'm the only one. So, there's an opportunity there to figure out the packaging and to ship it out under real small window. You got 2 weeks, you got to do that, and then that's it. I didn't want to take the chance to have to buy a specialized box to fit the flat to send the plants.
Right.
So, okay, folks. As who is it that says that's all, folks?
Porky Pig.
That's all, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thanks so much. We had an excellent.
Okay.